Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Subhashish Mishra and today's topic of discussion is on basics of Python. This is the second part of the Python tutorial series that we have done, and the first tutorial was Introduction to Python. If you haven't gone through that series video yet, I will link it in the information button up and in the description button below. You can go ahead and check it out. Then I will suggest you go ahead and check this one so that you will be able to relate. Before we start, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, like and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified once any new video gets uploaded, as I'm constantly uploading videos on machine learning and data science. Now let's get started. Alright, so this is the previous tutorial that we have gone through, Introduction to Python. We will be continuing with this notebook itself, and this will be appended in the same GitHub link that we have, that will be mentioned also in the description. Okay, so let's start. So let's make it as part 2. Okay, so now to create a certain number of records, we can use the keyword range. Okay, so range is a kind of keyword which can be used to create a certain number of records. Okay, let's say we have ABC is one variable in which we want to create a list. Okay, and we want to give a list of numbers from 0 to 15, 0 to 14. Okay, total 15 number of records we want to provide. So if we'll provide range of 15, then it will create a list of 0 to 14. Okay, so here the number starts from 0, as we know the Python indexing starts from 0. Okay, so now let's come into the list comprehension. In list comprehension, if we have something called as x is equal to a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and we want to traverse through each and every number. Okay, so we can be able to do in this way. If num in x print num, so here it will print one by one record. Okay, now we can be able to create from this is one kind of for loop that we can be able to create. The another one kind of for loop which is very much used is called as list comprehension in this way. Okay, this is also one kind of for loop, but this is more of a list comprehension that is being used, and it's very much convenient way of using it. So what is it? It's like we have for num in x, we will copy it out. Okay, and before that we will append what we want to print. So the output is num. So num for num in x. Once we run this, we will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means we have appended each and every occurrence of the num, which is carried forwarded from the list. Okay, so now there is another way of another thing that we can be able to discuss is function. Okay, so function is why we create a function, so that it can be reused in different. So how we can be able to create a function? The syntax for a function is def is the definition for creating the function. Then we provide the function name, and then any kind of variable references if you want, else you can make it a blank, and then whatever the action you want to perform, you write it down inside the function, inside the statements, function statements. Okay, so this is a simple function. Okay, so let's say we want to print a any kind of string. So we can be able to do in this way, func1 of ml is easy. It will print me ML is easy. Now, as I haven't specified the name as string, so I can have func of 1, func1 of 1. So it will print me 1. Okay, so this is the usability of a function. We can be able to do a reusability of a function whenever we require it. If we want to do any kind, there is another way of writing a function. It's like when we want to return a variable output. Okay, whenever we want to return anything else, we want a function not to print int at every time. It should return something. Why it should return something? So that we can be able to reuse it inside any kind of variable. Okay, so whenever we have something to return, then we can assign it to any variable, and that variable can be able to perform some sort of other action. Okay, so this is how we can be able to create a function using the return statement. Okay, so let's say we have, so let's take an example, squares. So here we don't need any kind of print statement. Let's say I have to find out the square of 3. So squares of 3 comes out as 9, as I have already mentioned. Okay, in function we have another one very important thing which is called as documentation. Function documentation. Why we create a function documentation is that whenever any new person comes in and we are not present at the particular moment, that person can be able to reference our function, and using that function documentation, that person can be able to understand for which purpose we have created that function. So to create the function documentation, which is otherwise called as docstring, we can be able to create it in this way. We have the squares function already, and inside this we can be able to create docstring like this function makes squares of numbers, and here we are providing parameter also. So param is what? X is our parameter. So what does x do? Is the input number. Okay, then we can have the return statement of x square. So whenever we in Jupyter notebook, whenever we will be calling a function, if we do shift tab, we can be able to see the function signature or the docstring. Okay, so whatever we have written in the function signature or the docstring, we are being able to see it over here. This function makes squares of numbers. Param is x, the input number. Okay, this is one way of doing it. Else another way of doing it is like we can be able to do in this way. There is a keyword called as help. Okay, and inside the help, if we pass in a function, then it will show us what is the exact usability of the function. Okay, for loop. Okay, we have a list and we want to apply square function, whatever we have written to that list, we can be able to use it using the for loop. We will traverse to each and every element of the for loop and we will do the square of it. Else we can be able to do it using one single statement, which is not using a for loop, using a map function. Okay, so how we can be able to do that is like map of squares is the function. What is the function signature? So it takes in the argument as self and then the arguments. Okay, inside the argument we can be able to pass in the function we want to use, which is the squares, and let's say we have a list. Before that, let's say we have a list of x is equal to, we already have a list, I think, list of x. Yes, list of x. We have the list of x, right? So we can be able to use the list of x itself. Okay, so once we do the map, it will print us, it will create a map function. Now to see the output of the map, we have to cast it inside a list. Now we can be able to see the list, the square function applied to the entire list. So here's the list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here the square function applied to the list, which is 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. All right. Now, if we want a function to be used only once and it has no further usability, okay, let's say we have a function and we want to use it only once. Let's say we are using this square function and we know that it's not gonna be used anywhere else, and we want to use it over here only for this list. Okay, then we can be able to do it using the lambda function. So what is the lambda function? Okay, so let's copy the function whatever we have created over here so that it will be easier for us to understand the lambda function. Okay, so this is the original function that we have. Now to create a lambda function, what we do is like we take down the entire function statement and we put it inside a single statement. That works fine. Okay, now what we do is like we take out all the things that are related to the function, like return and also definition and the function name. So this is, after that, what we can be able to do is like we can be able to add the keyword called as lambda. Once we do this, then the lambda function is applied to the function and the entire function can be created in using the lambda. Okay, now we can create a variable of, let's say, name f or square that we have created already, squares function, right? So we can be able to create a variable named squares and we can be able to apply these squares to any number and it will just work fine as it was in the definition, in the function, in the way of the doing the function definition. Okay, so this and this are completely same, but here we are making the function for the reusability. Here we are not making the function for the reusability, we are making for the temporary purpose. Okay, all right, let's say we have some sort of conditions. Okay, we want let's say we have the list of x and here we have even and odd number. Okay, we want to find out only the even number from the list. So for that we can be able to use a function called as filter. So filter helps us to filter out the data based on our conditions. So how we can be able to write in filter is filter of, then we have this function here, lambda function. Okay, we'll take this one. Okay, so let's say we want to find out the even number. Okay, we will find out the modulus of x, and if the remainder is 0 then it is an even number. Okay, and we have the list called as x. Okay, so similarly in the way we have done in map, it will create the filter function. Now to find out the output of it, okay, what we can be able to create, we can cast it in with a list. Now you can be able to see that it shows us 2 and 4, which are the even number in the list x. Okay, let's say we have a string. Okay, so let's say we have a string of string 1, my channel name is ML is easy. This is what the string we have. Okay, now we can be able to perform some sort of action of the string function. Okay, and so we can be able to make the strings upper, lower, and some sort of basic functionalities. Let's go ahead and see one by one. Okay, string string 1 dot upper will make the string as uppercase. Okay, so similarly string 1 dot lower will make it as a lowercase. Okay, so similarly we can be able to split through each and every word of the string. Okay, for that what we can be able to do is like string 1 dot split, and it will give us each and every word one by one. So it is being used whenever we'll be going ahead and seeing the natural language processing, okay, in handy. Okay, so let's say we have one kind of string called as string 2. Okay, in which we have, let's say, the string as YouTube as MLS easy. This is what the string we have, and we want to split it based on the hash notation that we have. Okay, so we can be able to do it in this way: string2 dot split, and we can provide the hash notation over here. So we can be able to provide any kind of notation based on which we want to split it. Okay, if we don't provide any kind of instruction in split, it basically splits the string based on the blank spaces available. Okay, now if we want to see only the hashtag, okay, let's say we have a Twitter handle we have with us, and in that there is a hashtag. We want to know the hashtag notation. So here the thing comes in handy. So how we can be able to see this? With this one, just one thing we have to do is like create the one. So it will fetch the first record of the hashtag, and it will give us ML is easy. Okay, now let's go ahead and see some basic dictionary notation. Okay, so we have, let's say, one dictionary is dict 11, and the key is 1, and the value is, let's say, 1. Key is 2, value is TWO2. Okay, so this is what the dictionary we have. So we can be able to check the keys of the dictionaries using dict11 dot keys function. So it will fetch all the keys for us. Similarly, we can be able to see the value for each and every dictionary, each and every value of the dictionary using dict11 dict dot values. Okay, now we can be able to see each and every key and value pair using the items. Okay, now one thing to notice over here is the dictionary doesn't have any order sequencing. We can have, whenever we call the items or values or keys, in that process, if we call dict11 dot keys, we can have 1 2, and we also can have 2 1, because it doesn't follow any kind of sequencing or ordering format. Okay, now one more thing to notice is like in the list, if we want to drop one item, let's say this is the list that we have, and I want to drop the last data. So to drop the last data, what I can be able to do is like x dot pop, and it will pop out the last data. By default, it will pop out the last data. So it comes at 8, only 1 2 3 4. Okay, now if I want to pop out the second index, okay, so I can be able to specify the index also. So x dot pop of 1, if I'll provide this one, then it will pop out the second index, which is the 2. Now if I'll check x, it will come as 1 3 and 4. Okay, now we can also be able to check whether one item is present in a list or not. Okay, so to check that, we can be able to see, let's say we have a list of strings, let's say x, y, z. Okay, and we are traversing it through using one key element called as x. Okay, just like the way we do in for loop, like for x in xyz, we are doing in this way only. Yeah. Okay, so it comes as false. So because the x is a variable and here the x is a string, so the value comes as false. So if we will make it as a string notation and then we will check, then it will come as true. Okay, we can print all the tuples from a list. Let's say there is a thing like we have a list which is a list of tuples. Okay, so what I mean by that is, like, let's say we have a list called as list 1 and it is a list of tuples. Let's say 1 2 3 4. Okay, now if I want to fetch out each and every tuple, then how I can be able to do that is like for a in list 1 print. So it will print out each and every tuple for me. Now if I want to go ahead and check elements of tuple, okay, so for that I can be able to do for a comma b in list 1. So here if I print a, then it will show me only the first value of the tuples. If I'll print it as b, then it will show me only on the second values of the tuples. Okay, this is one way of doing it, or the conventional way of doing this similar thing is whatever you will be seeing each and every time whenever you go ahead and check any kind of coding references. People do it without any bracket notation. Okay, all right. So this is the basics of Python that we have. In the next section, we will be studying about NumPy, pandas, and the basic usage of NumPy and pandas. And after that, we will proceed with our machine learning features. Okay, and then we will go ahead and solve the machine learning live examples from our side. Okay, until then, stay tuned and enjoy machine learning. Thank you.